Welcome to Kingdom Business Talk, and thank you for joining us today in this episode. Just want to welcome you and say, we're happy that you joined us today. I'll tell you, in the past podcasts, we've had a mayor from Greenville, we've had business people, we've had entrepreneurs, and, I've mentioned in the past that our interest is to revitalize Newcastle. We're about the transformation of this city, Newcastle, and our county, Lawrence County, and our entire region. So it starts with the seed like anything else, and then it blossoms and it grows from there. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about transforming our city, changing our city, and we're meeting people from different walks of life, from just a diverse. That's one of the things that I've liked since I've moved here to Newcastle. I've met all kinds of people. It's so interesting to live here. When you look at the city, you get a certain perception, but as you start meeting the people and the families, really, it's been a transformative experience for myself and for my wife already. So I want to welcome you and thank you. And today, we have a special guest, Steve McGranahan. And, like I mentioned, we've had different guests on board here on Kingdom Business Talk. And today, I wanted to reach out to a resident of Newcastle that's been here for about 28 years, and you have a vision for the city. You are a man of God. It's really interesting to get to know you and hear your stories and learn about you. But you have an entertainment business, really. You've been doing it for a long time. So I want to introduce you to our guests. I want them to get to know you and to see your vision. Tell us, Steve. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience.
I'm Steve McGranahan. I'm known as the world's strongest redneck.
Now, what does that mean, the world's strongest redneck?
What happened was, it's a true story, and I was sleeping one night, and I just woke up, and something spoke to my heart, said, come up with a strongman comedy act. And I went, that's funny, because I was working on hand strength and picking up rocks and barrels and stuff in my yard and that. And so I said, okay. So I chewed on it for about 2 weeks, and I texted a friend up in England, or emailed him or something. And I says, has anybody ever tried a strongman comedy act? And he was like, yeah, one bloke tried it, blah, 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 but wow, what are you thinking about? I said, I think I might give him a try at it. And he says, cheers, crack on, mate, go ahead, do it. And so I was, for 2 weeks, it was just burning on me, burning. And then same thing, hit me again, right in my core, come up with a strongman comedy act. And I said, okay, you got my attention now. You got my attention. How do I go by this? How do I do it? So I just started doing goofy stuff. And then all of a sudden, my wife, she decides to email Jay Leno.
Ooh.
And says he had a part on his show that was called Don't Try This at Home. So, yeah, my husband, he's crazy. He does stupid stuff, and he eats decks of cards. And so I'm sitting there in the house, and I get this phone call, and I go, yeah. You're a producer for Jay Leno Tonight Show. Yeah. Oh, she did. And I went, oh, by the way, you forgot to tell me you got in touch with Jay Leno for, my husband does stupid tricks. So I go outside, and he says, can you send me a demo tape? And I says, sure. So I got this camera for Christmas. This is all like serendipity moment after one happy moment, meeting up with a happy moment. I asked God, I said, how do I do it? And he just lined stuff up. So I have this lifting barrel that I had, and I put my camera on the lifting barrel, and I went, hi, I'm Steve McGranahan. I'm world's strongest redneck, and this is how you bend a 60-penny nail, and this is how you rip a deck of cards in your teeth. But if you're from West Virginia, you can't rip a deck of cards in your teeth because you got to have teeth. Just like that. So I turned the camera off, shipped it out to California. They said, when can you show up? And I says, okay, whenever. and can you rip 10 decks of cards in under 30 seconds? And I'm like, okay, I'll try, because, I mean, ripping a deck of cards is hard enough, let alone, doing it in your teeth. And I ate, this is a true story, I ate every deck of cards from Dollar General in 3 counties.
Interesting.
I spent like $400
Wow.
getting ready for this mammoth feat of strength, and they flew me out there, and we did it, and I did it in 29 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. And you know what? You're probably wondering. This is. I have to say this. I have never ripped not one deck of cards with my teeth ever in my life. That's not something I've ever done. So it's a pleasure to meet you, because I've never seen it or met anybody that have done it.
Yeah.
That has done that. But you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with the transformation of Newcastle, right? A lot of people think, well, when you think about the Kingdom Business Talk and kind of the community that we're forming, we're talking about economic development. We're talking about, new buildings and new homes and new infrastructure and streetscapes and pocket parks and really enhancing the physical environment. But really, you can have new buildings. I've been to places that look beautiful, and they don't have a spirit. They don't have the social environment. And really, there's a key element that changes your city, and that's the people, the families. And one of the things I like about, just getting to know you is, when you do a show, by the way, Steve can be booked for presentations and events and corporate events. You're a motivational speaker. You've been
Churches, schools. I
churches
just got
and
finished
schools.
with Newcastle Christian Academy.
Great.
I did 2 Wednesdays there, and tomorrow I'm doing a show in Erie.
And one of the impressive things I want to talk about this is the transformation that you experience, and the kids and the adults when you do a show. The spirit because that's how I see also Newcastle transforming as we develop the city. You bring humor, you bring a spirit that's really transformative. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Well, you got to love people. Growing up getting bullied because I was fat, or, I had dyslexia, you're never going to amount to anything. You're fat, stupid, ignorant, pathetic. I mean, I've been called all that, and I ended up being like the hero guy that told everybody to leave people alone, that guy in high school, because, you don't, there's too much hate in the world already. Why add to it? Why do things that, grown people shouldn't do, or grown people shouldn't do to little kids, or, to each other or whatever. Yeah, it's cool to, you're funny. Yeah, you're funny. That's okay, him hauling around, but I like to encourage people, okay, to do more with the gifts that they have. And if everybody comes together with all their gifts, we can have one of those communities that you just talked about.
Yes, I agree.
You can pick up the trash on North Hill. You can pick up the trash. I mean, people just throw trash anywhere these days. They don't care about if everybody got one bag, went around and picked up a garbage bag full of stuff, we'd have a great town.
Right. And that's the spirit.
Yeah.
That's the spirit that we're looking for. That's the spirit we want to build, and it's contagious. Honestly, I feel encouraged just from meeting you. I've already felt that encouragement, so I'm looking forward to the community growing that way. Now, also, you're a man of God. You're a man of faith. You love God. You have a vision for this city. You've been here for a while. So, and I'm going to ask you to do a demonstration of what you're doing in a little bit. But
Okay.
I'd like to. I think everybody wants to get to know you. By the way, if you see Steve around in Newcastle, get to know him.
Don't
really
run.
well.
No,
Don't
I'm
run
okay.
away.
Don't run away.
But tell us about your experience, the good and the bad. So you've been here in Newcastle. I have a year here. You have over 28 years here. You know the area, and then you've been praying over the city. One of the first things you told me when we met was, Ricky, this is an answer to prayer. The transformation that's happening right now is an answer to prayer, and to your prayer specifically. So tell us a little bit about
I
what
actually
you've
posted that on your LinkedIn the other day.
Oh, really?
I went and I saw all the things that you were working on and everything, and I was like, how can I help?
Well, thank you.
Let me be the first person to give you an olive branch. How can I help? What can this fat old retired, redneck can do, I mean that sincerely, because you've touched some of my friends lately. You've talked to Abdul. He speaks highly of you, and people, iron sharpens iron like a man sharpens another man.
That's right.
I mean, and if we can do that in this community, we can literally look what 12 men did. Ordinary men fishing, a lawyer, a doctor, fisherman, and whatever else they did. Taxpayer, I think one of them was a tax
collector.
Right.
I hated tax collector.
Look what that they did to the world.
Yes.
Okay, what can a handful of guys hungry for their community, wanting to bless it, wanting to watch a prayer come to fruition through love and charity, and donating your time or picking up trash.
Right.
I keep going back to that, but
I agree.
It starts at the ground level.
I agree with you, and it's refreshing to hear, fellow residents in the area that have that kind of perspective. Tell us about how you feel in the area, what you've seen in Newcastle, and what you see, what your prayers are for this city.
Just for everybody to get along, and just help your fellow man. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, I just saw 2 guys today with a backpack on their backs because the weather was nice, so they decided to be in transit to the next bridge that they were going to sleep under that night, and it's just, just stop and talk to the guy. My wife and I, all right, we have this place that goes down to the cellarway, okay? She had 4 or 5 coats there. I said, Gina, you don't wear these coats anymore. Let me give them away. All right, so we put them in a bag, and we were driving down the street. There was this lady. She had her skint back hair, tattoos. She was smoking. She was literally talking to herself. So I pull up in front of her. I don't tell this to brag. I'm the last person in the world that brags. Okay? But I'm telling it through an example of what we can do as a community.
I agree.
Okay? They were cold. He was cold, so you gave him warmth.
Yes.
All right? So I pulled in, and I said, how you doing? She was like, oh, I'm doing all right. You could tell she was tweaking a little bit. So she was smoking and everything. I said, so, are you cold? And she had a thin coat on. So I pulled out a real nice coat. And she was like, her face lit up.
Right.
I mean, my hair's standing up just thinking about how cool this was. Wow. And she goes, I like that coat. And she puts it on, and she, you can see her getting snuggly in it and everything. And she grabbed her little cart, and she says, thank you. And then she started walking off.
Right.
That's one person.
You can bless one person.
One person. I got 3 more coats in my car right now that I'm looking for somebody else to bless with.
I agree, and that should be the heart that everybody has, is how do we help others. That is the status right now. There's homelessness, there's blight, there's vacancies, there's vacant buildings in downtown. And next week we're going to be really blessed to have Mayor Mark Alisco join us. So that's really going to be an interesting kind of discussion as well, to see his vision I'm really behind his vision and what he's doing here for this city, what he wants to do. So new Mayor Mark Alisco is going to be here next week. But it's really good to see from a local resident that's been here for a while, that's experienced it, kind of the current status now. What's your prayer and your vision for the city of Newcastle? How do you see it transforming?
Well, through Victory Christian Center, we're out of the Newcastle High School.
Okay.
Every Sunday morning at 10:30 with Pastor Ben and his wife. It's just to love people, supply their needs, furnish, whatever they need. I've seen that church literally furnish a whole house. And I'm like, this is incredible. This is leading by an excellent example.
Yes.
Excellence. See, God is a God of excellence.
Right.
And that's what he wants in his people. That's what he wants in people, loving other people and being charitable to other people. Not just, teach a man how to fish. Don't give him a fish. And if he's got a heart, then he's going to learn how to fish, and he's going to teach two other people to learn how to fish.
Right. Well, when we discussed earlier, you mentioned as the city transforms, we have to integrate these types of programs that you do, because when you do a show, let's call it a show, or when you do a presentation, the vibe changes, the energy changes. And one of the things we talked about is you can have nowadays, you have kids that are thinking about committing suicide. They're medicated. You have all kinds of social problems. And when they come to one of your shows, you may not even know this, but the humor that you add, the love that you bring in, the spirit could change the trajectory of that kid. They think differently, whereas they were going to do something wrong, and now they're going in a different direction. Not just a child, but people that have drug addiction, alcohol addiction, and things like that. And what's another thing that's interesting is that I've asked you 3 times on this podcast, how do you see the city transforming? 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And all 3, this is actually good for me. Because if somebody were to ask me that question, I'd talk about the architectural changes, the buildings, the pocket
Mm-hmm.
parks. You did not at one time mention a physical structure. We need to develop this city. We have to integrate the positive social element.
That's it.
Let's not be one of those cities. This is a different perspective. That's why I wanted to bring you on board today to discuss this, because we need to see it from that angle that I don't see it that way. Well, I need some more of what you got because we want to be a city that transforms both physically and this positive social element.
Yeah.
And it really takes people like yourself to make that happen. Show us a little bit of a demonstration of.
Well, this is basically what you're saying right now. This is just a deck of cards. It's a simple deck of cards I get from Dollar General. But I'm able to teach from this deck of cards life lessons.
Okay.
I can either teach secular stuff or I can teach, Bible stuff.
Okay.
Okay? The ace. There's only one God.
Okay.
There's only one God.
Yes.
All right. 2 parts of the Bible. Old Testament, New Testament.
Okay.
3, the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Okay.
Okay. 5, teaches me about being ready. Always be prepared. I think that's the Boy Scout motto, but
Yes,
anyhow.
it is.
5, okay. David went to the creek. Okay, I'm from North Carolina. It's a creek. It ain't a creek.
It's not a creek.
It's a creek. All right. He pulled out 5 smooth stones,
Yes.
but he only needed 1
That's right.
smooth stone.
Right.
Embedded it in Goliath's forehead,
That's it.
and he fell down before him.
Yes.
Why did he get the other 4?
Good question.
Goliath had 4 brothers.
That's what I've heard.
He wanted the whole family.
Taking them all down.
Take them all down.
Yep.
Okay, 6.
Being prepared.
God created man on the 6th day.
Yes.
Saw everything that he did and said it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
Not good, very good. God of excellence.
Right.
All right. On the 7th day, God rested.
Yes.
We got to learn to take a break. After all this out here, picking up trash, loving on people, charity, go to church, thank God for everything you did, tithe. You want to know how to make money in life? Tithe 10% to your church.
Mm-hmm.
Off of gross and not net.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm touching a core now with somebody out there.
Somebody.
Okay?
Yep.
When we started doing that, we didn't go without anything.
Right.
We didn't go without anything.
And I want to interject this as well, because not everybody that's watching is a believer, and we want to reach out to everybody, wherever you are.
Yeah.
But I would say I would go a step beyond that, because I tithe as well. I believe in that. Start somewhere. Support your local church. When you start going to church yourself, if you're at that point where you're thinking about it, your life starts changing. You don't know it. You don't know how, but the Spirit of God that you don't see starts transforming
love,
your life.
man. It's
now,
love.
as you go forward, and you support the community of faith, really, the believers, you're going to see a transformation. Eventually, you'll get yourself to the point where, how could I not support my church? Like you said, how could I not?
Yeah.
But it's a personal decision. Never feel obligated. Just let the Spirit guide you. That's my approach to this, because some people could get turned off.
Oh, yeah.
Some people, there are people out there that
well, a lot of
believe,
people have been injured in churches.
right? And there's
You
a
know,
lot of
and
people
actually, Jesus was a moving hospital.
right?
Miracle signs and wonders followed him
Right.
and followed believers.
Yes.
You know, it's not, I mean, I've seen some miraculous stuff. I've seen people, they're wound around their spine was cancer and it was gone. I mean, I have literally, I got 3rd-degree burns down my stomach and I have no scarring.
Wow.
So I'm a firm believer that God can just.
He could do anything.
Thank
He
you.
created everything, so he
Right.
could do anything.
On the 7th day,
Yes.
God rested. Learn to take a break.
That's right.
Okay, 8. Okay, Noah, his wife, their 3 sons and their 3 wives were saved from what? The
Water,
flood.
The flood.
God's will, done God's way, God's going to supply your needs.
Amen.
It didn't even rain before all this happened. And then the earth started splitting open and gushers were everywhere. And they spent 40 years building that. 9. This is my favorite. 10 people got healed from leprosy. How many came back to thank Jesus?
1.
1.
Yep.
Are we thankful for what we have in this town?
Good
A
question.
lot of people aren't thankful. They just want to keep consuming, never give back, consume, never give. Why don't we go the other way around? Aren't we thankful for what we have? And then I've been halfway around the world. I've been to Haiti. All right. I tell you what.
It's the poorest country in the world.
Right.
Haiti.
All right. I went to Guatemala. All right. And there's this little boy who comes out, snot's running down his nose. He's wearing what it looked like to be underwear or a filthy diaper or something, and then had a meatworm growing out of his foot.
Mercy.
Stepping over his own sewer, but he was smiling. Okay? Because he wanted to see. This is what they were saying. Venga, venga, y mira un hombre con cabeza grande. Come and see the big man, the strong man, mucha fuerza, with the big head. That was the way they were advertising me in Guatemala. And I was like, okay, whatever it takes to get people to hear this.
Right.
And he was smiling. He was filthy, living in filth, walking over filth, had animals growing out of him.
Mercy.
But he was happy
Right.
because he didn't know what he didn't have.
Right.
See, we can cry about, I want an iPhone, Mama. I want this. I want that. You don't get it. You're gonna throw a conniption for 10 days.
I agree. You have to appreciate what you got.
Thank you.
So many people don't realize.
And then share
how
with
much
what you have over in abundance.
Yes.
Be thankful for what you have.
Number 9.
10. They're taking them out of courtrooms in Alabama. They're taking them out of schools. They're trying to take them out of your head. They're trying to take them out of your heart. What are they? The 10 Commandments.
The 10 Commandments. Okay.
Queen. God took a teenage virgin girl, gave her the most wonderful ministry a woman could have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to bring the King of Kings and Lord of Lords into this world.
The King. Yes.
Jesus Christ is my King.
Amen.
Nobody what anybody does to me, says to me, he's always going to be my King. Because I was that filthy, nasty human being that hurt people.
Right.
But he changed this big old Lomox's heart.
Yes.
Did I miss anything?
You started with the ace.
Jack.
The Jack. Okay. Yeah.
See, Jack wants to come into your life, take you and separate from your mom and your dad, kids, separate you from your wife, separate you from your husband. They want to take everything that you've learned about the Bible, everything that you've learned about the Bible. Jack wants to come into your life and rip it.
No way. Oh my God.
And devour it right out of your life. A simple deck of cards,
Wow.
but I'm able to minister.
Wow.
You felt the energy, right?
Yes, I
See?
did.
Don't
Yes.
you want to go share that energy now?
Absolutely.
And see that Jack will come into your life and keep having and taking everything that you have
Wow.
till you have nothing left.
You haven't seen anything. I've seen him bend metal. That you're a pretty strong guy, and actually the presentation that you do is uplifting. It's encouraging.
Yeah.
You're also a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
I encourage you to find Steve McGranahan on Facebook. Just Google him. Find it. It's
Or the world's strongest redneck.
World's strongest network. Redneck.
We're about to have the world's strongest network.
That's right.
There you go. There you go.
So the world's strongest network. Find them. Invite them to your organization. Let them do a presentation. Let them encourage the people in your company, and bring some humor into it and a lesson. It could be a biblical lesson.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a lesson on corporate strategy. It could be a lesson on finance. I understand you're working on a financial group that has to do with the stock market.
Yeah.
Interested to learn more about that. But I think you've got a nail here. Let's see how you.
All right, you build houses.
Yes.
What is the job of a nail?
To hold two pieces together.
There you go.
Together. Yep.
That's what God's laws and commandments do.
Okay.
Don't they hold us together?
Yes.
It wouldn't be right for me to stand up, walk out on that street, and start punching people in the face.
Nope, that's a bad thing. That's not a good thing.
They'd have to tase me. About 4 or 5 cops.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be breaking the law.
Right.
I'd be breaking God's commandments.
Yes.
Being a false witness, all that stuff, right? Okay, we can't take this. These are just leather wraps from actually Mr. Yoder up in the saddle maker up in New Wilmington. Yeah, you know the guy. So we can't take God's laws and commandments. Okay? Can't bend the rules.
Wow.
A lot of people go, that's not a nail, that's a spike. And I go, nope, it's a snack. But see, it's about you. It's about you.
Oh, that's a you.
It's about you.
Wow, this thing got hot.
Yeah. All them molecules got discombobulated.
I wouldn't even try to.
Told you I'm smart.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you do. The
Yeah.
amount of strength that you have to do this.
You can have it.
And I'm going to keep this as a momentum. And you incorporate it into your presentation.
Yeah.
We need more Steve McGranahans. It's such a pleasure, and thank you so much for coming to this podcast and let people kind of see that social aspect, what you bring into society, and the positive spirit that you bring in.
That's what you
Yeah.
gotta have.
We need more Steve McGranahans in here. What a pleasure. If you see him around in Newcastle, come up to him. Like you said, don't run away. Get to know this man. Hear the stories, and also invite him to your presentation. Invite him to your organization, and let him bring that goodness, that spirit there. And we're looking forward to Newcastle transforming just the way that you've been praying for it, with
Yeah.
that spirit of God, which is really, it may sound cheesy, but it really is the spirit of love, which is the most powerful force in this world, is God's spirit of love. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Next week, we will have Mayor Mark Alisco. He's going to share his vision for the city. He's going to join us and kind of give us some insight. You know what? And you'll get to know him as a person. A lot of times, you meet your mayor and you see him on TV, or you see him in presentations. Now you're going to get to know the real new mayor, Mark Alisco, right here on Kingdom Business Talk. So thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week at 6:30 p.m. right here on Kingdom Business Talk.
At MP Coney Island, it's all about the chili and has been for nearly 100 years since we opened in 1923. We help put Newcastle on the map as the hot dog capital of the world. Visit our store, place an order for pickup at mpconeyisland.com, delivery with DoorDash, or find the grocery store near you with our chili locator on our website. Want to own your own MP Coney Island? Now you can with our franchise system. At MP Coney Island, it's all about the chili.